This could be like a comedy routine for us,
Could absolutely be. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hey, Sandy, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So we're live here on Facebook, and I'm so excited to have you on here. So what I do, every Thursday I go live at 12 o'clock, and I have different people on here. So sometimes it's a worthy cause that we're supporting. Sometimes it's a small business, and a lot of times I'd love to have realtors on here from different marketplaces so that people can see that. What the differences, number one, what the differences are in the markets, and also that there's always opportunities, because you may not want to purchase something here, but I know there's a lot of opportunities where you are. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I'll let you introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about what you do and what area, and then we can get into maybe some differences between our area and some similarities.
All right. Well, first of all, Sandy, thank you for having me on your little show here. I like to speak to people about what's going on and what I'm passionate about. And I'm in Rochester, New York, which is a quick 3.5 hour drive to Toronto. Well, are you still in Toronto, or are you like now in?
I'm in Hamilton.
I was
I
gonna say,
live in Hamilton, so I'll be a little bit closer. Yeah.
Isn't Hamilton like the birthplace of Wayne Gretzky or somebody like that?
That's Brantford.
Oh, okay.
That's
well,
where Paul
right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's
good.
close.
I know we pass it on the way to go to Toronto. And anyway, and actually by boat from Toronto to Rochester, it's about the same. In a powerboat, of course, if you're in a sailboat, it would take longer, and rowboat, you'd really get those arm workout done, but it would take you like forever. But we have, so I cover Rochester.
Hold on, sorry, I have a question. Yeah. Like, could we go by rowboat with all the restrictions right now, or would there be like COVID police would stop us in a rowboat?
Probably could. I don't know. Like, you probably could like covertly go like into Rochester, but not come in like through the port.
Yes.
Maybe on the outskirts, like to somebody's backyard, you can pull your rowboat up and sneak into.
Climb up the slope.
I don't know. I don't know.
Just a thought.
Can we even go to Toronto by car now? I don't even know that.
I don't know. But you know what the best part is? We can do this, Stephen.
Yeah,
we can still do this.
That's true. And you know what? Money is good no matter where you are and whatever part of the country that you're in. So 100%. For years, Sandy, I've been talking to you about the opportunity to purchase homes in Rochester, that we have some amazing properties, and it's chump change for people up in Toronto, because you have to go through that whole stress test. And I'm not talking about the heart thing that you go to your doctor for.
That's
but
right.
The whole stress test format. And what do you have to have, like 50 to 60% in cash on a home when you buy a house there?
If you're buying a house here, like a Canadian buying a house here, no, 20%.
Oh, 20%.
And some people can buy with 5% if it's the first time. If it's going to be owner occupied, 5%. If you're buying an investment property, minimum 20.
Okay, well, that's pretty much the same here than too in the States. However, your price points are a lot higher than ours. And several years ago, I was talking to a Canadian who now lives in Rochester, Alan Saplicki. I don't know if you're seeing this or not, but I'll mention your name. He has an insurance company, and Alan had talked about doing something when we had the fast ferry that went from Rochester to Toronto, and just a nanosecond we were there. And that when Canadians take holiday, that they go about 3 hours north, and heck, they could take the fast ferry and go 3 hours south and be in our Finger Lakes region, which is one of the most beautiful. I mean, New York State is really a beautiful state, even though we have high taxes and other things that I don't want to mention right now. But we have a beautiful Finger Lakes region. We have beautiful lakes, and we have vineyards there and everything. All of our New York State wine comes from there. But so we had talked about that, and I said, how true. And I know I've talked to you on many conferences that we've been in. Hey, Sandy, you should get some investors, because you guys only have to go 3 hours south and you'll be in Rochester. And like, for example, I'm going to be listing a home that's right on Lake Ontario, and it's got 130 feet of lake frontage. The house was completely rebuilt in in like 2007. And we're going to be putting that on the market in the mid 400s. I mean, and the house is absolutely exquisite. Right now, the biggest issue is, of course, inventory. Realtor.com did a report. In fact, I was just on the news a couple of weeks ago that Rochester was labeled the #1 place with the smallest amount of inventory in the nation. So we
Wow.
do have that to combat with, but again, even with multiple offers and competing offers and bids and things like that, it still would be a lower price point for Canadians to purchase in the States than it would be for an American.
Yeah.
So currently there's only about, believe it or not, from Syracuse to Buffalo, there's only about, 10, 15 homes right on the market on Lake Ontario for sale. And we have a couple in the millions, but the rest of them, the majority of them are like under 400,000. In fact, there's one that you can pick up for like 65,000. There are condos that are right on Lake Ontario that you could pick up anywhere from $70,000 to $90,000 for a condo right on the lake. Now, those you would not be able to rent out or do Airbnb. They'd have to be like a second home or owner occupied. But to have a second home on Lake Ontario, for
Yeah.
$80,000, $90,000, what could be better than that? But the other homes that are private homes, like the one that I was just mentioning, and there are others, those could absolutely be used as Airbnbs or VRBOs, whatever you want, and get quite a good penny for them per month. In the Finger Lakes region, which is, again, about 45 minutes, an hour south of Rochester, depending on what lake that you're going on. They have the most beautiful lakes there. That's why it's called the Finger Lakes region. They're all these long lakes that look like fingers. And there's about 35 homes on the market that would be suitable. Some have a lot of land, some don't have, just the actual lot that the house is on, but you could still pick up some great buys. And that doesn't even include like our investment market, where we have homes where they're selling for $55,000 that are completely renovated. Sorry, not renovated. Well, some are $55,000. And yes, I did say $55,000, where there are renters in there and don't want to leave that are paying anywhere from $850 to $1,100 a month for rent.
Wow. That's crazy. Like when you think of those prices, because of what we pay here, but I wonder like what's the is there opportunities there for flipping houses? Like if you bought something that needed work and flipped it, what's the opportunity there? Or
Yeah, yes, there are, if you can find them.
Okay.
That's the, they come up every once in a while. And, once in a while I'll get, just because of some of the ads that I'll run, I'll get people that, want to sell their home privately, or, it's a flip house and, we make an offer for them. And so, yeah, those opportunities are definitely out there. No question about that.
Wow. So 450. So you could buy a house on Lake Ontario there for like under 450.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's crazy.
And a beautiful house, and one that doesn't need work.
And then you could Airbnb it. I wonder what that would Airbnb for.
So my kids my kids live in Pittsburgh, and they just had this baby, and I've been coming down here to help them out. And they actually came home a couple weeks ago, and they rented one out. And I believe that initially my son had rented it out to use with some of his buddies to go hunting, but then they couldn't go because of COVID. And then they came back and rented it out. And I want to say it was like $250 a month, $250 a night for rental on Lake Ontario. I mean, and it's during the winter, but it was beautiful there. And I could only imagine that they get more during the summer.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder what the, what we should do is one day maybe do this again and have somebody on here who can talk about financing them. Yeah. Because that would be the interesting thing. Like, how do you finance them? Would you know how you would do that? Like as a Canadian, I guess we'd have to probably finance it here or take equity out of really, you could take equity out of a property, right? Yeah. And just pay cash for it.
That's what I was going to say. You guys have, it's like chump change for you guys. You could just do home equity loans, get the cash out and pay them cash, So I sold a house not too long ago outside of Buffalo, like seriously, right outside of Buffalo, to a Canadian family that wanted a place that they could use to come in and stay in instead of staying at a hotel to go shopping. And then whenever their friends came down, they rented it out to their friends like if it was a hotel.
Wow, that's crazy. It doesn't surprise me though. I mean, I'm sure it's well worth it, right? And then you've got an address there, so that's really interesting. I'd like to Yeah, I would really like to have someone on here to talk about, well, financing, that's how you could do it. You could literally, because realistically, if you have a house and you have a lot of equity in it here, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to have a lot of equity in your house because the inflation, you're losing money at that point. You're better off taking it out and using it for some type of investment. And this is a great investment.
And even though that interest rates have gone up a little bit, I mean, they're still
Very
historically
little.
low.
Yeah.
And it's, it's almost silly to pay cash for a home, except for, if you're from
Right.
Canada, it might be the way to get the ball rolling and then refinance down the road.
Yeah. How far is Rochester from Buffalo? Let's say, like, I'm just trying to put it in perspective
Oh,
where you
so
are.
we are literally right on Lake Ontario between Syracuse and Buffalo. It'll take you about an hour and 20 minutes to get to either place.
Okay. So it's a great location there then. No
Absolutely.
matter where you want to go, right?
Right
You
off
know what
the
else?
way.
Yeah. No, but you know what else it would be good for? Like sometimes I know a lot of Canadians when they fly, they'll go to Buffalo and then fly out of Buffalo. So if you have a place there, you can go there, stay, then fly out of Buffalo instead of flying out of Toronto. You know what I mean? Like if you're flying to somewhere, if you're
Exactly.
flying to California or Florida, whatever, it's a lot cheaper to fly from there out of Buffalo. So
Yeah, sometimes we fly out of Toronto because it's cheaper for us to do it that way.
really, that's so funny.
Yeah. So
Well, depending where you're going.
We don't have any more direct flights to Toronto. We used to. I remember one time I was going to visit Marnie Bennett. Hi, Marnie Bennett, if you're watching this, she's in Ottawa. And I actually had to fly to Toronto, through Toronto to get to Ottawa. It was crazy
Wow.
flight.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that is weird. That's weird. But
Yeah,
what would you,
Jim and I have often driven to Canada, to Toronto to fly out west.
Yeah.
From Toronto, it was less money and
Yeah.
more direct flights. We can't get anything direct really out of Rochester anymore, except if we're flying to like New York
Right.
City, Chicago, maybe Atlanta, maybe Washington, D.C. When Xerox and Kodak and Bausch and Lomb and IBM had their big headquarters up here, you could fly anywhere. Jim always says it's the best place to vacation from, but it really is. I mean, there are some really beautiful parts up here, but when the big corporations, kind of have moved headquarters or become very low, it's very hard to get direct flights anywhere.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So you guys are having low inventory there as well, eh? Is it like it's really bad up here?
So in our county, which has a little over 700,000 people, so let's say our county with a few of the suburbs surrounding it, there's a little over 1 million people. Well, I think maybe it's just our city and our county. Well, let's just say there's a little over 1 million people in our county. For the last month and a half, there's been, it's been hovering around 250 homes. That's it. Now, this week we had a spike. We had actually upwards of 362 homes that went on the market. So comparatively, I used to send out searches for people and they would get a search maybe of 45 homes. Now they get like 4.
Yeah.
So
it's so crazy to me. Like everywhere seems to have this issue right now with low inventory. So is that like right now, do you have multiple offers happening there? Like what kind of market are you in right now?
Yeah, so we're definitely still in a seller's market. It would take a lot more homes to get on the market, even just to be an even market. It depends on the price point. I think anything, under 250,000. Now let me preface, like under $250,000, you could buy a 20, not new construction, but let's say an existing home for 2,500 square feet, maybe 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, built-in pool, half-acre lot, for like 200. I mean, that would be the list price, like 250, 260,000. And, depending on where it was and whichever suburb it was in, it would depend on, if it was on the east side, I think they get more offers on the east side of Rochester than on the west side on some of the homes. Just kind of what I'm seeing. There's very little inventory on the east side. Homes that are priced like at, like 100 and 109,000. I know this sounds like crazy numbers to you because you probably sell garages for more money or boathouses. I don't even know. Maybe boathouse would be like $500,000. But anyway, so let's just say a house was put on the market and somebody was able to get this house for like 89,000, and it would be a 1,300 square foot house with 3 bedrooms, 2 car garage, 1 bath, um, in one of the suburbs. Okay. And let's say they bought that house in 2020, they could probably put that house on the market for 109 just a couple years later, and might have 25 offers or 45 offers, and it would probably sell, close to $130,000. So yeah, and so it really depends on the price point. I mean, I had a beautiful farm that I just listed, and we did get multiple offers, but the multiple offers with escalation clauses did not I mean, it definitely sold way more than the existing listing price, but it didn't go up like that $100,000 more than some people are talking about.
Oh, okay, okay.
And many of the homes are going cash now, which is also very interesting.
Yeah. So you guys, are escalation clauses pretty common there?
Now they are.
Oh, that's
You
interesting.
know, Sandy, probably when you and I learned about escalation clauses from our coach, maybe it was like, what, 10, 11 years ago. So I was just telling the story to the group that we talked to on Mondays, you during the day and me during the night. By the way, those people that are watching, we're going to be changing my calls to Tuesday so we don't bombard you with 2 calls in one day. But I remember doing escalation clauses, and agents would call me up and say, we don't do these. And I said, well, you should, because you're leaving money on the table for your client, and you have to present every offer. And then the managers would call me up and go, Debbie, I don't know who you think you are and what you're doing, but we don't do those here. You just put in your highest and best. I said, that is my highest and best. And in some cases I would have to change the offer. In some cases, I think they just, I'm guessing maybe they didn't even present my offer. I don't know, which is illegal, but I'm guessing because all of
Yeah.
them are written really well. And now those same companies have their
Are all
own,
using it.
no, they have their own forms now. They have their own forms that the agents can just fill out, the purchase price is this, and we'll go over price this. But it's really sad. I was just helping one of the agents out with EXP, because she put in an offer, and the agent that was working on the other side, they told her that the offer had escalated up to a certain point and they could get it. But then when the agent that I was working with was reviewing the offer, it didn't escalate. The agent didn't even know how to present the escalation clause. So we have a lot of attorneys getting, I mean, we're an attorney state, so we use attorneys to close our transactions, which they take a little bit longer here because of that. And, but some attorneys are telling me that they have actually had to review the contracts because the agents are not 100% certain of presenting the escalation clause.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to know what you're presenting for sure, but that's interesting. Oh my goodness. And I think that's the issue with those, is if you don't know what you're doing with it, it becomes a problem, or it could become a problem, right? That's the issue. So I want to like give you a visual of what you could buy for $250,000 here. Okay. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Close your eyes.
They're closed.
There. That's what you can buy. I mean, I could probably even say like 600,000. Well, no, I'm lying. So for 250, you could buy, we've got some areas where they have.
You could probably buy a winter coat with down in it for 200, maybe not even that up there. Come on, let's be realistic. You can't buy anything. How about the condos that I used to live in? I just recently moved, but the condos that I used to live in, I just sold a garage, okay, like a 1-car garage, for over $20,000.
Yeah, that'd probably be about 50 or 60 here. Yeah.
So
it's crazy. It's craziness. It is. But you know what? I mean, the thing is, people have to live somewhere, and we're getting more and more people. So that's why I think the market's going to keep going up. I mean, we're expected to get how many immigrants in the next 2 years here in Canada? And I mean, the majority of them come to the Toronto area, right? And they're highly skilled immigrants that will be coming here. So there's a lot of reasons why the market is going to continue to go up. It's really, and the interest rates are so low. Like you said, they went up a little bit, but that's,
yes.
Like when you're talking about 3%, 2.5% to 3%, that's not really going to make that much difference, right? So I mean, most people buying houses today have never seen like double-digit interest rates.
Correct. Like when I bought my first home, it was double digits. It
Yeah,
was
me
crazy.
too. It was,
Hey, but like, what is your like inventory? I mean, okay, Toronto's a big place, GTA, Hamilton. Let's
yeah.
just talk about Hamilton. So like, how many people do you have in Hamilton, and how many homes would you say that are on the
Well,
market?
I would say I do it a little different. Like just our months of inventory right now is about, we have about 0.5 months of inventory on the market. So to put that in perspective, I know you know what this means, but for other people, a balanced market with, you know, buyers and sellers being able to make slower decisions is probably around 4, maybe 5 months inventory. When you get up higher than that, you're in a buyer's market. When you start to get down lower than that, you're in a seller's market. So imagine that, like 0.5 inventory. Like there's really no inventory. We've seen a little bit more start to come on the market the last week. And next week is our March break. And typically after March break is when we see the highest inventory, because most people will list their house in the spring. So we'll typically see the highest inventory in like coming up in the next couple of weeks, but we're still have very, very low inventory. So we have cities, let's say if like Hamilton, if there's, you know, like, or let's say Burlington, for instance, where there's maybe 800, no, probably about 600,000 people. And we may have like 60 properties on the market. And when I say 60, I'm talking about condos, townhouses, houses, total. Now that may have changed. I looked at that a few weeks ago and that's what it was. So it might have gone up slightly from then, but it is very, very low inventory. And it's hard. Obviously it's hard for buyers, but we're doing a lot with just off market and finding people off market properties and marketing into neighborhoods. We just did a deal this week that was an off market property. We had a buyer who wanted a house and we found somebody in that area that was looking to sell and we were able to put that deal together. That's a lot of what we're doing now, because to sit and wait for something to come online on MLS is, you know, I just don't think you need a realtor for that. If that's all the realtor is going to do, you've got to be more proactive. Plus
Yeah,
with a large database like you, I mean, we're both trained by the same company, right? And we've built up large databases and we can go into the database and see if there's somebody there who's thinking of selling. But I would say, and I don't know if you have this problem there, but this is what I would like to say to the buyers, because this is typically what we see what happens, is that we get a property that's off market and everybody want to, for some reason, wait until it goes on the market. And I don't know if that's because they want a validation that somebody else wants it, or I don't know why that is, but a lot of people are hesitant to buy in that way. They want to wait. And I don't know why. Like, you've got to take advantage of that. When something comes up, as long as you know the comparables and you have somebody showing you what's happened, you can make a good educated decision from there. But I think I don't know why that happens.
I agree with you. The last several homes that we've sold, we've actually sold off market properties. They're ones that we've researched or for sale by owners. And, you know, when we present that to some of our people that we go over listing, I have to agree. They say the same thing. No, I want to put it in the market because, you know, there's so much hype in the news about, you know, oh, people getting $100,000. Well, that doesn't happen with every house, you know, $100,000 over. Yes, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, I agree. But the 100,000 over asking price is, you know, I think those are few and far between. And I think that some sellers are concerned that they would leave money on the table if they didn't put it onto the multiple listing system. But
Yeah.
a few that we've sold off market, they've been for sale by owners and the transactions have worked out really well. And everybody was happy because they named their price and we had a buyer for it. So
Yeah.
that worked out really well. And
Yeah.
our absorption rate, how many houses go on the market and how many sell, is roughly between 72 hours and 7 days. And where that changes is if real estate agents put homes on the market that are not delayed negotiations, they'll get offers, you know, within 72 hours that house will go under contract. Many real estate agents are putting the houses on the market. And like, for example, with our marketing strategy, we put the homes on the market Tuesday. We start showings on Thursday. And so this way the homeowner has a couple of days left to do whatever they need to do. And then we have showings from from Thursday until Sunday or Monday. And then all offers are either due Monday night or Tuesday. And so that's where you get the influx of, you know, 72 hours to, you know,
Right.
5 days. So But it seems to be working out well for the sellers. I just told them to go away for the weekend. One
Yes.
one house that Adam, my son, as most of you that are watching may know, Adam is my partner in crime in real estate. And Adam put in an offer for somebody, and there were 95 showings on this property. There were 45 offers, and in the ranking, and his clients came in with a very strong escalation clause. And in the ranking of offers, his was the the 14th highest, but there were 14 above his that, and one of them got, it was a cash deal and just went, and they
Wow.
put down a huge good faith deposit, like on a, I'm talking a mid 100 house, they put down a $65,000 good faith deposit. So
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I think like finding off market, because that's the issue, is that the sellers, there's a lot of people who want to sell, but they can't sell because they're afraid they're not going to find anything. So that's kind of a juggling act where we need to find them a property, be able to find them a property that's kind of flexible with their closing, and then sell their house. Like, it's just kind of this whole string of what happens. But you have to come up with innovative and different ways to do things in order to help your prospects, right? Like, the days of just listing a house or just getting a buyer and setting them up on a search are over. You can't do that. And nor should you. I mean, I don't think you should get paid for that, to be honest with you, because people can find all that stuff on their own. So we've got to show different ways of helping people get into the market. But there's still lots of opportunities. You know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, my kids will never be able to buy real estate. But the fact of the matter is, every age group has had the same issue, right? I had this conversation with my dad, who's 89, and we were talking about this. And I said, you know, the first house him and my mom ever bought, I think they paid like $24,000 for it, right? And so people go, well, that's crazy. But I said to him, how easy was it for you to buy this house? And he said it wasn't. Like, we had to move way out of where we wanted to be. And, you know, we had to save every dime, and having 7 kids, like, to buy this house. So it was hard for them as well, right? Because you're not, when we look at it now, we think $24,000. Well, people make whatever, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. That's nothing. But he wasn't making that money. He was making what? You know, maybe 300 a week, you know, like whatever that amount was. So it's been hard for everybody. You got to come up with other innovative ways, which we're saying, especially to young people who want to get into the market. Here's a great way for young people to get into the market. Buy the house in Rochester, rent it out, Airbnb it, rent it out, build up equity, you can use that money that you're making, put that in the bank, and then you could either sell that, or you could refinance it and then buy a house here that you want. Because the fact is, you can't save as fast as you can build up equity. You cannot save that fast. So you have to look for those other opportunities. So it doesn't have to be Rochester, but the good thing about Rochester is, yes, you're buying in US dollars, but you're getting rent in US dollars, you're selling it in US dollars. So that's where these opportunities come in for people to do this. If you can stay at home and live for free, buy the house in Rochester and rent it out, and keep that money coming in, and then you can go and buy something else. So there's lots of ways to do things. You just have to be innovative with it.
Absolutely. And you know what, making money passively is a great opportunity that everybody should be thinking about. That I think I just posted something on my Facebook page just the other day about that, about Warren Buffett. You know, if you're not making money while you're sleeping, you'll die, you'll work until you die. And it's true, you know, you have to have passive income coming in some way. And what a great opportunity for some people that, you know, maybe can't afford that $700,000-$800,000 house in Toronto. You know, buy something lower in Rochester and you know, build up your equity, just like you said. That's a wonderful idea. But, you know, back to what you said, you know, about, and I think it's very true. A lot of agents don't work with loyalty agreements with their clients, or they do, and they really don't understand what it means. Working with a loyalty agreement or a buyer's agency agreement, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't just mean that you set people up on a search and say, go at it. Let me know when you want something to look at it. It's way more than that. And so for you buyers that are out there that might be listening, make sure that you interview agents that know what they're talking about and that are establishing some kind of a relationship and telling you what they are going to do to get you into a property.
Yes, 100%. I totally agree with that. And I think it's important that people have a BRA, a buyer representation agreement, because it really does allow us to do more to represent them. But Yes, I agree. If you're going to do a buyer agency agreement and the realtor is just going to set you up on a search, then no, that's not, that you can't do that. It's not fair. I don't think that's fair to the buyer. For sure. You've got to go over and above to find stuff. And there's lots of ways to do it. You just got to figure it out. There's lots of ways to do it. You got to get into good training program and good coaching and good masterminding with realtors who are doing the same thing. That's the most important part. So it's 12:30. So what I'm going to do is let you tell us how to, I wonder if I can put this in here while you say it, how people can get in touch with you if they are interested in getting some information. Just get some information about the houses there and yeah, go from there.
The easiest way would be to call me. You can call my office. I have a 24/7 answering service, and that number is 585-944-8580.
Okay.
They can call me direct on my cell phone. I answer as long as I'm not with clients or on a Zoom or on FaceTime Live. I answer my phone. And
Okay.
that number is 585-899
Yeah.
0805.
Okay.
Or you could come into our website, which is searchhomesinrochester.com. All one. Search homes with an S in Rochester.com.
Okay. I was trying to put it in there, but I see Sierra's doing that for me. So that's awesome. Okay.
Oh, hey, Sierra, thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I think you know what, just if you're interested, reach out to Debbie, get some information. Doesn't mean you have to buy anything, but the more information you have, the better. And
if you have a lot of money, reach out to Sandy because you can buy a home in Toronto.
That's right. Okay, and my number, if anyone, if you're interested and you want to get information, 416-467-8627. And Debbie and I are of the same kind of thinking that, we're here to help. And if you have any questions, call. Debbie loves to talk for sure. So do I. But about real estate for sure. I mean, what's better than talking about that? So thank you so much for coming on here and spending time with me, taking time out of your day. Let's set up another time. We'll talk about this to set up another time and get somebody on here that can talk to us about how Canadians can finance there. I know we've talked about pulling equity, but there may be other ways, because I know you guys do things a little bit differently when it comes to financing. So there might be some other ways for people to do this, but I think this is a great idea. I love it. So
I think Ian Waterhouse, who you had on your show, your speak last week, I think he knows someone who does mortgages for Canadians in New York or in the States. And I only say that because Ian has a really good friend that lives right in one of our suburbs. And so he's come down to visit. When he comes down to visit, he usually, I haven't seen him in a while, but he'll, say, hey, Debbie, I'm in Rochester or something. And I took him for a tour and showed him all our very, very affordable lakefront homes. And he was cracking up about that. Anyway, I think he knows somebody. So we might want to reach out to him.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
I'll ask some of my mortgage lenders here if they work with Canadians. So.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much, Debbie. I'll let you go. Get back to your little grandbaby there. Cutie.
Thank you, Sandy.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.